Hi, I'm Hazel. It is almost Saturday, so it's time for a brand new vlog. This is our first vlog post 7.1.5, and I think I get to officially stop saying that now. 7.2 should be much easier to spit out, which I'm going to be pretty thankful for. And it has been the most memorable mini patch that I can really think of. The last patch that we got that was this small, that was still kind of a patch, was probably, what, 6.1? You know, the infamous selfie camera patch. But in this one, you know, we got the Brawlers Guild. We got, of course, new time walking that we haven't been able to do yet. And the thing that's really the most dramatic for me is the class changes. The class changes were nuts. Have they, like, obviously they've done shakeups this big before, you know, between expansions, but I can't remember, and maybe this is just because this one's now, but I can't remember another patch where the adjustments were so drastic on so many different classes. I mean, sure, they'll redesign a class mid-expansion every now and then, but they really went in on it this time, so, I have no idea how to play my priest now. I went to raid this week and we cleared Emerald Nightmare, and I'm just looking at my talents. I'm like, where's my Mind Seer? What are these buttons? Why is my lingering insanity gone? How do I do? And then I read some guides and they're like, we don't know. So clearly I need to find better guides. So yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm doing with my Shadow Priest just yet, but we'll figure it out as the weeks go on. And of course, as we get into Nighthold and we get some tier bonuses, it's gonna get, I'm sure, a little bit better. Also related to class changes, PvP is just a hot mess right now. It's very slowly getting better from the sounds of it. They put in some Demon Hunter hotfixes. For a while it was just Demon Hunters everywhere because they were very, very strong and just one-shotting people in 2-second stuns. And it sounds like there has been a stealth hotfix to their damage. I haven't heard a confirmed source on that, but I played quite a bit last night and it did feel true. So they're looking at it, they're aware of the PvP situation, they know it's not perfect, they're working on hotfixing it to get it into a better state. Hopefully they do that pretty quickly, because they have a tournament coming up, actually. The GCD EU tournament is soon. I don't know exactly what the dates are, but I think it's pretty soon. So hopefully they get things, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be not completely broken. What's up, bud? Hey. My dog's shy, he doesn't like direct attention. So, Nighthold is opening next week. I'm raiding Wednesday, Thursday, as is my usual raid times, and I'm pretty excited. It's gonna be nice to have some new bosses. It does feel really good to not have to, it feels really good to not have to go into Emerald Nightmare again. I know we weren't stuck in Emerald Nightmare for as long as we were stuck in some places like, you know, Hellfire Citadel. But, you know, I feel like I've done Emerald Nightmare enough. Although, you know what I didn't get? I didn't get my my hidden artifact appearance on my Shadow Priest. We killed Il'gynoth every week since it launched, and nothing, nada. One of them dropped, and it went to a Shadow Priest that doesn't even play Shadow Priest anymore. So I'm pretty tilted about that. But, you know, if you really think about it, artifact appearances are basically just like a transmog, and I've got lots of cool things I can make my weapon look like, so I'm just going to not worry about it. And I'm probably not going to do LFR every week to try and make it happen. I don't think I care that much. But yeah, we don't have to do Emerald Nightmare anymore. We don't have to do Trials of Valor anymore. It's just going to be brand new raid, brand new progression. I do want to do boss guides for Nighthold, and I'm going to be getting them done sort of as my guild progresses, so they're not going to be out right away. Obviously, if you are raiding right away and you need boss guides, you're going to want to look at the ones from people that did it on PTR. But I will be doing overviews eventually, so I do want to have that on my list. The other thing that I want to be doing over the next week or two is some Brawlers Guild guides. I haven't tried the new Brawlers Guild yet, and I'm very excited to do so. I'm not sure how hard or easy the fights are based on what class you play, but I think I'm still going to go take a look, do my best, and then see if I can get some basic guides put together for some of the fights, especially if there's anything particularly tricky. I feel like those would be some fun videos to make, so I'm going to be kind of looking into raid guides, Brawlers Guild guides in the next week or two, and then of course all the other regularly scheduled stuff that we do. The Nintendo Switch actually got announced yesterday. Not really WoW related, but I do like to keep up on Nintendo news, at least. It looks cool. It looks like a neat console. I'm disappointed in them for charging for online. I know the PlayStation and the Xbox do it, but they actually have functioning onlines. And it's still scandalous that they managed to charge people for the privilege of connecting to the internet. Nintendo's never really been known for their stellar online service. So we'll see if that ends up being worthwhile. I'm not actually super excited for any of the launch titles. I know my husband's really jazzed to play the new Zelda. I tried to like Zelda games for a long time. I had Wind Waker as a kid. I did my best to play them, and I liked Wind Waker, but I never finished it. And, you know, when a couple years ago, I realized that I just don't like puzzles. I'm not good at them, they're not fun, I get frustrated, I feel dumb, and no part of that experience is enjoyable for me. And I just don't like puzzles, and Zelda games, as magical as they are filled with puzzles. So it's okay that I don't personally like Zelda games. Everybody else, it feels like everybody else does, and that's great, and I'm really happy that they get a new game to play, but I personally don't have to play it. However, having said that, if they ever do a Pokemon game on the Switch, I don't know if they would do that or if they would just keep them on 3DS, but if they do a full-fledged Pokemon game on the Switch, or if they do an Animal Crossing on the Switch, sold. Done. I'll get all up in that. Back to talking about PvP a little bit. The PvP 35 plus traits went live. I talked about that a little bit in the crazy PvP changes video. So basically what they wanted to do was turn on the that really expensive trait that you do after you finish your artifact weapon that just like pumps up your damage or healing or whatever, and your stamina as well. They wanted to enable that in PvP, and they just turned it on randomly with 715, and of course everybody's freaking out, and people that happen to be also mythic raiders that were done with their weapons suddenly had, 15% more damage than somebody that didn't. So there was just a big meltdown, community meltdown regarding to that, which was understandable. I was melting down too. They have reverted it. That trait is no longer active in PvP, but it's being reactivated in Season 3. Legion Season 3 will have that trait reactivated because they feel it's really important to progress in WoW PvP in some way other than, practicing and getting better at fighting other people. So if you are a serious PvPer, you're a serious arena player, or, you're really passionate about your battlegrounds or whatever, and you do not have your artifact weapon at 54 points, I would strongly recommend doing some sort of artifact power farming to try and get that done before Legion Season 3, because those will be enabled. I think actually it might be enabled in random PvP right now. I'm not 100% on that. They may have just disabled it for rated arena and RBGs. Not completely sure on that. But in any case, it's being opened up for everything in Season 3. So personally, I am doing, and I'm not happy about it, but I'm doing all the artifact power world quests on the map, plus emissary, plus random daily heroic, and then of course plus my my normal queues on my Resto Druids. So I'm not actually playing my Shadow Priest. The poor emissaries are just going away undone. There's probably legendaries in them that are just like rotting away in cyberspace. But there's only so much time in a day, and I gotta get that artifact power if I'm gonna be somewhat competitive on the ladder next season, and I'd rather get it done sooner rather than later so I can get back to doing other things in my life. So yeah, World Quest my Resto Druid, that's a real good time. The lifesaver with that has been actually World Quest Group Finder. I'd seen groups made by that add-on for a long time, but I never actually thought to try it myself because it's like, World Quests aren't that hard, I don't really need help. And it's true, you don't really need help to do a World Quest, but when you can press one button and it gets you into a group without you having to look or apply or reject somebody or manage anything, you press one button and it's either going to make a group that other people join or you're going to get into one. You don't have to do anything else after that. And you're just with, a couple other people that are also doing it, and it just goes so much faster. Especially for stuff like the Bareback Brawl and the Dark Brawl Arena that can actually be kind of time consuming to do by yourself. Having a group of 5 people is amazing, and not having to actually manage getting that group together, also a plus. So if you are doing World Quests every day for any reason, even if you were just super bomb 890 item level raid gear and you can do it by yourself, I strongly recommend you still get World Quest Group Finder and do it with other people anyways, because no matter how much item level you have, it's still faster having other people running around killing stuff also. The one stipulation I will make to that is that the slight problem that can happen with World Quest Group Finder, and maybe there's a setting that prevents this, I haven't really looked, sometimes you end up on PvP realms, and sometimes there's PvPers in PvP realms, and sometimes they try to gank you. So just be aware of that. It doesn't happen all that often. I probably have somebody try and fight me every couple of days, and I'm using this add-on for pretty much all of my world quests, and they don't win every time, so just be aware of that. Anyways, questions from this week. Kayla wants to know, is there any word on when the fishing tournament will come back, and will the artifact fishing pole traits work for it? I still need that heirloom ring. So, I thought it was coming back this patch. I'm wrong, apparently. I logged in the game, I looked at the calendar, and there is no fishing tournament. And I could have sworn they said it was coming back in 7.1 or 7.15, and I don't see it in either of those places. So, it's gotta be either 7.2, or maybe they just forgot. Hopefully 7.2, but I don't actually have an official answer for you on that. And then as far as artifact fishing pole traits working for it, you're not going to be able to fish up entire pools with one catch because those types of fish aren't on the fishing pole. But for things like the water walking, the swim speed, the reduced aggro detection range, I don't see why they wouldn't work. Nothing about that artifact fishing pole says that those traits only work in the Broken Isles. So I would assume that having that artifact fishing pole is going to be a real good thing to have, especially if your class doesn't do water walking when you are doing that Stranglethorn fishing tournament. So yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, especially now with heirlooms being account bound, that heirloom ring is really nice to have. I've had it for a long time and I used it in every single one of my alts, so an extra 5% XP can't be argued with. So I hope it's coming back. I don't know. Ben wants to know, hey Hazel, what's your opinion on the new Shadow Priest changes? I wish they didn't remove Mindseer. I would just rather have the ability to pull groups of mobs. Also, do you think the Misery talent will be a viable choice in dungeons? Hoping the new talents will help out our dungeon AoE. So, first of all, I haven't really formed my opinion on the Shadow Priest changes yet because I haven't had enough time with them. Like I said, I only did one raid night with my guild, and outside of that, I've been pretty much playing nothing but my Resto Druid. So I haven't really fully formed my opinion. Now that you pointed out, I'm actually kind of pissed that they took out Mindseer for the purpose of running old raids. I don't know how we're supposed to just instantly boop down groups of mobs anymore. That's kind of unfortunate. I do think we are going to be much, much stronger in dungeon AoE, specifically Mythic Plus dungeons, because between a couple of things. One, Misery, very, very good for multi-dotting targets. If you're in a situation where the targets are going to live for some amount of time in a dungeon, so, you know, higher than random heroic, but anywhere probably in Mythic Plus, Misery is going to be a really good thing to try out. And then Shadow Crash. They buffed the balls off of Shadow Crash, so you have to give up Surrender Madness, which is whatever, it's a dungeon, you're not surrendering anyways. And then Legacy of the Void, which did get buffed, but to take Shadow Crash. But Shadow Crash hits like a truck. So I strongly recommend for any kind of dungeon content, take Shadow Crash. Try out Misery. Do you want to try out Misery versus Power Infusion? Try them out in different dungeons and kind of look at your meters and see which one is working out better for you. I really like Misery, but that's just because I'm really lazy about applying my dots. And then the other nice thing is that in dungeons, typically you'll have trash packs that are all grouped up. And if you're in Void form, now your Void Bolt, it doesn't completely refresh dots of one target, but it will add duration to all targets in like a short range. If you have your dots and everything in a group, because you know you pick Misery and you put them up really quick, and then you get into Void form and you Void Bolt once, it's going to extend the duration on all of them. So you're going to be really good at that sustained AoE trash DPS like that. And then of course you throw a Shadow Crash down and everything's just done. So I do think we are much better in dungeons now. It's a bit unfortunate that it came this late just because I'm kind of personally past my Mythic Plus grind. I don't really have time for that anymore. But for any Shadow Priests that are still kicking it in Mythic Plus, that is going to be really great. And then we're still performing just fine in raids too. The one thing that I don't like is that, and this isn't really the fault of the talents, more so the fault of how expensive talent change tomes are. But we have, before, you could kind of take your Surrender to Madness spec and you would surrender in every fight and that was your life. And now, there's different setups for different types of fights, and there is a non-negligible difference between those different talent setups. So if I want to be anywhere close to optimal, I need to be changing talents on like half the fights in a given raid. And that's really expensive. Guilds aren't throwing, or at least my guild, are not throwing down those codex things in between fights for everybody to change their talents because they're very expensive. It's bad enough that we have to do cauldrons. Buying individual tomes and going through 5, 6, 7, 8 of them in a raid, I mean, I know we're not having to completely re-food buff every time because no more surrender for a lot of fights, but man, changing talents. I really wish they had not changed it to require an expensive consumable mat. I don't think that's fun for anybody. I'm sure there's a scribe out there somewhere that's just raking in on those talent change tomes right now that's real happy with it. But as a raider and a Shadow Priest, D Woko asks, would you do a Nightbane guide? This actually reminds me, I recently got my Nightbane mount. So I did Karazhan when I'd made my guide of it, and then I did it the following week. And then I looked at my gear, and I looked at the gear that drops in Karazhan, and I looked at how long it took me to do Karazhan, and I thought, well, I'm done. This was fun. This was a cool dungeon. I'm glad I did it. I don't need to do it every week. So I didn't do Karazhan after that until last week, when my guild's like, hey, Hazel, you want a Nightbane mount? I'm like, all right, because they all have theirs already. They've been doing this every week, so they have the rundown pat, and they all have their mounts. And they asked if I wanted to get pulled in for one, and I said okay. So they walked me through the run. They got me my Nightbane mount. I have the mount now, and I could do a guide. The fight's not terribly difficult. The hardest mechanic is obviously making sure that you manage the fire so it's in one spot, and then making sure that you use that fire to take damage so you don't blow everybody up with whatever that thingy is called. And that's pretty much the whole fight. So I could do a Nightbane guide, but I don't want to go back. I don't want to do Karazhan again. Don't get me wrong, it's a great dungeon, but dungeons just aren't really what I'm spending my time on in WoW right now, and it's so hard to split yourself between all these different activities. So I probably won't do a Nightbane guide, especially because I'm not really an expert on the speed run itself. I'm not really the right person to ask for that, and I'm positive that there are probably quite a few really good guides available already, so I'm not going to do a Nightbane guide. Anyways, that has been my week. If you have any questions you would like answered on a vlog, just leave them as comments on the most recent vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!